Happy Friday, everyone, and we are definitely a few minutes late due to a technical glitch, but you know, we deal with glitches in life and we just keep on keeping on and we make the best of what we make the best of. So, I want to talk to you about keto and what it is and what it isn't and who should use it and who shouldn't. And I gotta tell you, this has been a really interesting day for me. Now, first of all, I want to give you a kimchi update. So, my big jar of kimchi has turned into 2 smaller jars of kimchi. So I'm going to give you the best piece of advice that I have with all of my 10 seconds of fermenting experience. When you are making anything that is fermented, do not fill your jar more than 3/4 full, or it might kind of explode on you. Yes, that is definitely the voice of personal experience. Now, what is going to happen with my kimchi? I am not exactly sure, but what I am sure of is there is definitely some fermentation happening there, so that's a good thing. And so we'll just keep on keeping on and hope that it turns out. I am planning on doing a second batch of kimchi, only the second batch that I do is going to be a sweet kimchi. Okay, so let me just click a button here and there. And now I want to talk to you today about what keto can accomplish and what it can't accomplish. So, one of the things that I need is a drink. Now, I have to tell you, hi Del, I have to tell you one of the things that I found out yesterday, and it isn't that I didn't know this, but interestingly, sometimes you know something that you can apply to everyone else, and not necessarily so much to yourself. So, yeah, I'm kind of right over here. And I will be right back with you in 2 seconds. This is not one of those days where I have my... That is one of those days where I'm going to knock things over. I just kicked my stool over. So yesterday I came home and I had a backache. And I had been dealing with that backache since yesterday was Thursday, Wednesday night. My lower back was just, oh my goodness, it was driving me crazy. So I did something that I very, very rarely do anymore. And I took a couple of Advil for my back. And I used to do that 3-4 times a day. I would take 2 extra strength Advil. That was about 160 pounds ago. And yesterday, oh, that was wonderful. After having a very restless sleep, I got up and my back was still just killing me. So I took a couple more extra strength Advil and off I went to the market that I had to do yesterday in Innisfail, Alberta. And so I had a wonderful time at the market. The drugs were working great on my back. It was still pretty achy, but it was manageable. And when I got home, it occurred to me, and it's interesting that I had to actually think about this, but I'll explain it to you. It occurred to me that I was thirsty. And so, when I mix myself something to drink, now I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't like water. I've never liked water. If I'm super thirsty and it's ice cold, okay, but other than that, not so much. So, I have juice, I call them juice squirts that I use. They're sugar-free. Yes, I know they have artificial sweeteners in them. Yes, I know they're not good for you. At least they are better for me than sugar is. So I mixed one of these ginormous glasses that holds 4 cups or a liter, and I drank it. And then I drank another one, and then I drank another one. I had no idea how thirsty I was. And after the third one, I noticed that my back wasn't hurting as much anymore. Now, I'm not saying that my back aching was because I was dehydrated, but the other thing that I have been doing far more of than I should be is munching on tomatoes, because we have an awesome tomato crop happening in our yard, and part of it is right outside my front door, so it's easy to grab 2 or 3 cherry tomatoes on the way in the house, which I should not be doing, and I'm fully aware that I shouldn't be doing it, and yet I've been doing it anyway. And combine that with making a tomato-based sauce for our keto pasta the other night that I made out of zucchini. Okay, so what I said was we're going to talk about keto and weight loss and trucking. And so here's why I'm sharing this story about my back with you. Any of you that know me know that I drove truck for quite a few years, and I loved my job. I absolutely loved my job, and part of the reason that I loved it so much was because I was with my husband all the time. And so that was awesome for us. Oh my goodness. This is another one of those days when I might drink 3 or 4 of those. So when we were in the truck, we didn't eat in restaurants, we ate in the truck. And so what was it we were eating in the trucks? Well, we would have a plate of carbs with a side of carbs added in, and then, some meat, but then some more carbs. And if we had dessert, absolutely it was carbs, usually made up by way more sugar than we should have been having. And between meals, we were snacking on, wait for it, you got it, carbs. And if it was Dell snacking, it was probably salty carbs. If it was me snacking, it was sweet carbs. So between the two of us, we kept both the salty and the sweet snack people in business. You need things that are quick and easy. When you're in a truck, you just do. You don't have a kitchen with a 4-burner stove and a cupboard full of equipment, and you just don't. So Dell is still in a truck, and now when he goes to work, everything that he takes with him is keto friendly, and everything that he takes with him is homemade. That includes pickles, salad dressing, any kind of sauce that he takes. It will include, it didn't this time, but next time it will include homemade ketchup, because I can do that, so I will. It takes some time to get ready for a trip like that, and not everyone has the ability to do that. If you are a driver that is driving single and you don't have someone at home that is ready, willing, or capable of making these things for you, that doesn't mean that you can't do keto. If you're buying condiments, step away from the relish, because that's always going to be packed with sugar. Maybe try dill pickle relish, which is definitely keto. Buy the no sugar added ketchup, and yes, it's out there, folks, I promise you. Now, it's important for you to remember that just because it says no sugar added does not mean that it's no carb. It means that it's low carb. When you are buying something to eat in the truck, are you cooking in the truck? Because that's definitely doable. You can take a crock pot or a lunchbox oven, whatever works for you, or something that you can cook in the microwave, although steak done in the microwave, gotta say, not good. You have to make time for you. If you're driving a truck, you have a 16-hour window to get your work hours in a day. And if that entire 13 hours is used up and you have not taken 30 minutes to do something good for you, I promise you eventually you're not going to have to worry about that 16-hour window, because if your health keeps failing, you won't be driving. That's a fact. I meet people at markets that I do. I meet them every day. I met a man a week or so ago. He was a driver and he loved driving. He had a stroke. Why? Because he wasn't taking care of his health. Is it his fault? Nope. but it is definitely his responsibility right now to do everything that he can do. I meet drivers all the time that have type 2 diabetes, that have obesity issues, that have heart issues, blood pressure issues. Is it their fault that they have it? They've been kind of, sort of, maybe following the Canada Food Guide. It's not their fault that information is not accurate. It's not their fault that that information is not going to help them keep their health where it needs to be. It is their responsibility to do their research. Now, if you're dealing with high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes, and you're listening to what I'm saying, I want you to know, first of all, I am not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a nurse practitioner. I am somebody who was 350 pounds, and I got that weight in the truck, not because of driving truck, but because I didn't know that I was a carbohydrate addict. My husband, who never had any weight to lose, had a heart attack, and he had high blood pressure. Why? Not because of how poorly he ate, because I cooked almost everything in the truck except for our snacky stuff and the ice cream that we ate for dessert. But I did my research. And if you would like to start out exactly the same way I did, I'm going to give you a suggestion. I want you to look on Netflix for a documentary called The Magic Pill. The Magic Pill. If you don't have Netflix, find somebody who does, or Google it and see if you can rent it somewhere. I watched it on Netflix, so that's what I can tell you about. That documentary changed my life. And that documentary was talking about using the ketogenic lifestyle for children that had epilepsy and were autistic, and the amount of good that it did, and in the process it did their families some good. And I listened to this documentary talking about how people that ate bacon and cheese and whipping cream were losing weight, and I thought, that is the biggest, most dangerous load of hooey I've ever heard. However, at 350 pounds with type 2 diabetes, I was going to die. That's a reality. I don't know if I would have had a heart attack or a stroke. I never ever had high blood pressure unless I took more than 4 steps. Then it tended to go up a bit. But I did have health problems. And I did everything I knew how to do. I even went so far as to have a gastric sleeve done. Bariatric surgery. It didn't work. And it didn't work because nobody told me that if you're a carbohydrate addict, you have to deal with that addiction. Nobody told me that carbohydrates were an issue. They said the same thing that I've been taught my entire life. If someone is fat, they are fat because they eat too much and they move too little, and if they'd get off their butt and move and eat a little bit less, maybe grab a salad now and again, they'd be skinny, except that's not true. That is absolutely not true. And if it was, the guy sitting in McDonald's that is no bigger than a twig that's scarfing down 2 Big Macs, an extra large fries, and a giant strawberry milkshake, he would be 350 pounds and I would have been 150 pounds. So there is something seriously flawed with the way that we're looking at things. So, driving truck. What can you do if you're driving truck and you are single, or you're driving team and your wife doesn't want to cook in the truck, she doesn't like to cook, she doesn't, or you're the woman and you are driving truck? And we knew couples like this. He was at home, one couple in particular, she drove truck and he stayed at home with their son. He was Mr. Mom. Now, I didn't know him well enough to know how much he liked to cook, but let's just for a minute presume that he didn't. So you have someone at home, man or woman, doesn't want to cook. They're working full time, they're looking after the kids, or they just really hate cooking. What on earth can you do? And the answer is simple. You can do the best that you can do. So you go to the store and you're looking for something that you can have in the truck, something that you can have easily while you're traveling. First of all, I want you to do some research on intermittent fasting, because I am here to tell you one of the most powerful tools you have is intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting is having a finite window in your day that you can eat in. Now, when you think about it, you go to sleep at night and you wake up the next morning, and if you've slept 8 or 9 hours and you didn't eat for 2 or 3 hours, let's say you slept 8 hours, you didn't eat for 3 hours before you went to bed, well, 8 and 3, that's easy math, that's 11. And by the time you get up and you do your vehicle check and whatever, you get ready to go, you've got another hour gone. And so now you're looking at 12 hours that you haven't eaten. That is intermittent fasting, guys. Now let's stretch that out a little bit longer. Let's make that 16 hours. So you say, I am only going to eat in this 8-hour window. And you start there. And you have things that you can pick up that are going to be as keto friendly as they can be. So what is it? Look for hot dogs or smokies that are as low a carb as you can find. Some of them will say 0 carbs. Some will say 1. Some will say 6. Don't grab the ones that say 6. Read your labels. Take an extra minute to read your labels. So you can find things that are maybe not the perfect keto thing, but they are definitely better than the bag of chips or the bag of cookies or the cupcakes or whatever. Okay, so that's one. Number 2, if you are in a truck, either before you leave home, and I say always before you leave home, or while you're in the truck, boil a dozen eggs. Hard-boiled eggs are amazing when you're doing keto, and you can dress them up. They don't have to be boring. Mash them. Make some egg salad. Mix some lettuce in with it. There you go. You've got a meal. And mayonnaise, you can make mayonnaise at home. And I tell people all the time, and if you've ever watched me on here, you know I say this, please make your own mayonnaise. It's so easy to do, and it absolutely is. But if you can't do that, you don't have to give it up. Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, yes, it has sugar in it. No, it isn't technically keto friendly. It definitely is made with oil that is not keto friendly. It's going to make your inflammation worse. If you have a tiny jar and you use it for a treat now and again, don't beat yourself up over it. Or better yet, look for a brand of mayonnaise that's made with avocado oil. Go and look in the whole foods section, in the organic food section. That's where you're going to find it. You can have that in your truck. So you've got organic mayonnaise and hard-boiled eggs, some lettuce or shredded cabbage, whatever it is that you want to make, and the lowest carb hot dogs or smokies that you can have. Now you've got a meal, and you've got a meal that isn't perfect for keto, but it is a whole lot better than not doing keto. It is a whole lot better than 3 pieces of pizza that you're washing down with a liter of Pepsi, and they're both hitting your gut, and they're both full of sugar. And they are both making your health problems worse, and they are making you more tired and more inflamed and less of who you want to be. So, if you want to do keto in the truck, married, single driver, team driver, whatever it is you're doing, if you don't know how to get started and you need a coach to help you, you're watching me right now, so you know how to get hold of me. It can be done. The question is, are you worth it? Think about that for a minute. Now, I think the answer should automatically be, of course I am, of course I'm worth it. But the answer isn't always that easy for everybody. If you don't think you're worth it, you need to think about why. And once you've figured out that you are worth it, you need to do your research, because I don't want you taking my word for this. I want you doing your own research and finding out how beneficial a good diet can be, how important it is for you to use your food as your medicine, and how much we've been lied to. High blood pressure, that is not a disease, it's a symptom. Type 2 diabetes, symptom. Heart disease, disease? Symptom. And what is it a symptom of? It is a symptom of metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome can be reversed, but it doesn't happen overnight. But you do have to be worth it to yourself. You have to be willing to do the work. Are you willing to do the work? And the only person that can answer that is you. And I'll tell you what, whatever your answer is, you have a right to that answer. And I'm not going to judge you for it. And no one else should either. Everyone has the right to make their own decisions. Wow, I am really, really thirsty again this afternoon. I think that has everything to do with being outside for 5.5 hours this morning. Okay, now, I promised you that we were going to talk about keto and weight loss and trucking and do a dessert. Now, the other day when you were with me, I made a cake that, I used my TSL organic golden latte da in it. Well, that was a huge big cake and it was delicious, but it was way too much for one person. So if you are one person, what do you do? So let's figure that out today. Now, let me there we go. Now you can see my counter. First things first, we need a cup because we are making a mug cake. Now, you can have the ingredients, small containers of this, in your truck with you. So this is doable in the truck. You need a cup, which you're going to have to wash out the next time you stop to shower or stop at the shop. You need a fork, which I'm going to presume you have anyway. You need a raw egg. So this is not the hard-boiled version that I told you you should have in the truck, but having some raw eggs, good idea. Okay, so 1 raw egg. Now I'm throwing my shells in my compost, but you can throw them in the trash if you're in the truck and I won't give you any grief over it. So we have 1 egg. We're going to add 1/2 tablespoon of cream. Now you can use cream or sour cream. So if you're not using cream, in your coffee, don't buy cream just to do this because you're probably not going to use it. And I don't want to see it wasted. If you like sour cream on anything, and I mean anything. I made chicken burgers last night that were absolutely yummy. Put sour cream on it. It's a great way to add some fat to your diet. If you don't like sour cream and you use cream for a few things, well, here's another thing. Okay, so we have 1 egg and we have 1/2 tablespoon of cream. And I'm just beating that up a little bit. I know it'd be nice if it was a little less noisy. Now, okay, I had a tablespoon here, I thought. I guess I didn't. Okay, well, you know, here's the thing. Oh, there's a teaspoon. 3 teaspoons makes a tablespoon, so we're just going to do it that way. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of almond flour in here. Now this is going to look like 6, but I'm putting teaspoons in. There's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, so I'm putting in 6 teaspoons. Okay, there we go. Now, as well as that, just for a little bit of added fiber, we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of flax meal. Now this can go in or you can leave it out. I guess it's entirely up to you. And because this is only 1 serving, Now you remember the other day I used a full teaspoon in my cake. I am going to use a quarter teaspoon, and you might want a little more, you might want a little less. Actually, let's make that a generous quarter teaspoon because I really love my golden latte da. Now, if I was making this for my husband, I would not be using as much of that spice. Okay, then the next thing that we need is, actually, let's do it this way. We are going to use golden erythritol because golden erythritol is going to be much nicer with a cake. And I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of golden erythritol in here. Okay. Now the only other thing that we need is a little bit of flavoring. So I am just going to do something a little outside the box right now. And I am going to use a little bit of my Watkins maple bacon flavoring, a maple bacon cake. I don't know. I'm thinking this is going to be a good idea. Now, you may not agree with me. Now, I just used a scant lid full of the maple bacon, and it smells amazing. Now I am just going to beat this up. Okay, that is definitely beat up. Okay, so is it sweet enough? Oh, yum. It is sweet enough. Okay, now let's throw this in the microwave. Okay, so that's going to go in the microwave for 2 minutes. And then we're going to see what we have. What we will have for sure is a dessert for one person, and something that is easy to do. Can you keep a small container of vanilla or maple bacon or whatever? Let's think about the containers that you would need. Now the flax meal is totally optional. You can do that. And I'm glad you're going to try this, Del, because this is something that you can do for yourself, and all you're going to have to clean up is a fork and your cup. It is doable in the truck. All you need is a microwave. And most trucks nowadays have a microwave. And if you don't, okay, get a microwave. We need this stuff in the truck. You have to decide if you're worth it. And even though I don't know you, I know that you are. There is somebody out there who loves you, and probably a lot of somebodies out there that love you, that want you to have good health. And so now that we are talking about driving truck and we've got a dessert in the microwave, let's talk about what keto isn't. Keto is not a weight loss diet. It just is not a weight loss diet, period, end of story. Keto is the perfect way to nourish a human body. And if you make all of the yeah, and no sharing, you're right, Del. If you make all of the things that I talk about, all of the things that I bake, the cinnamon buns and the cakes and the breads if you make all of those things and you eat all of those things, you are not going to lose weight. You will gain weight. I almost guarantee it. Now, let's see. Okay, well, guess what we did today? We forgot to put in the baking powder. And that being said, this is absolutely lovely. And I'm going to show you what we've done. Now, one of the things about, one of the things about keto baking is that a lot of the rules that you have with normal baking have changed. Now this would be a giant mug to fill. That is not a one-person serving. That's like a three-person serving. This is a one-person serving. And look at how spongy and soft that is. And so it's just almonds, basically. Almond flour is just almonds. And the flax has done a beautiful job of making this nice and light and fluffy. We didn't even need any baking powder. Okay, now that being said, how does it taste? Well, let's check it out. If this is a treat that you are making for yourself in the truck, and you only do it once a week, you're fine. Everybody deserves a treat. Oh my goodness. That is yummy. That is very yummy. That is a wonderful treat for you to give yourself. Now look at inside this cake. Just let that focus for a minute so you can see it. This is lovely and moist and delicious, and it took 2 minutes in a microwave, and it had, what did we have in there? We had the maple bacon flavoring, and you can use any flavoring you like. Vanilla, almond, coconut, knock yourself out. Make sure your flavoring does not have sugar in it. We used half a tablespoon of erythritol, 2 tablespoons of almond flour, and a little bit of flax meal, and half a tablespoon of cream or sour cream, take your pick. And it is moist and delicious and beautiful. And look at that. It's just nice and springy. Now, if you want to dress this up a little bit more, I'm going to show you how you can do that. And if you're having company for supper in your truck or at your home, now I need the tip for my whipped cream charger. You know, one of the toys that I got from my kitchen after a long time after I started doing keto, and we use this all the time, is my whipped cream charger. And that way I have whipped cream on demand in my fridge. Now you can buy little tiny ones of these that are only 250 mils, or you can just put a little bit of cream with sweetener on it. Okay, now we can dress this up with some whipped cream. Oh, how lucky am I? Just exactly enough. Apparently I need to make another batch. Now that is enough whipped cream on it, but I'm going to show you what else you can do. And I promise you, this is absolutely delicious, and you are going to be absolutely thrilled when you find this. Okay, the TSL Organics Golden Latte Da powder that we put in the cake, we are going to sprinkle on top of the whipped cream. And that flavor from that spice is going to go in the whipped cream, and it is going to be absolutely delicious. This is one of my new favorite things. Now the spices mix with the cream and mix with the sweetener that we've got in there, which is erythritol, whether it's white erythritol or golden. They mix in there, and they taste absolutely delicious. So now, look at how pretty that dessert is. Now, who would you not serve that to? I would serve that to anybody. And when you take a bite of that dessert with the whipped cream, any excuse to take another bite, hey? Look at that bite. You've got the whipped cream with some spice on it. You do you. Do keto in the truck. Do help your truck driver do keto successfully. You need to focus on your macros. 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbs. Those are standard macros for keto. Don't overcomplicate it. Just don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be baking like this all the time. It doesn't need to be ribeye steaks that are cooked over a charcoal fire that has a little bit of hickory added to it. No. It does not need to be that. It can be simple. It can be done in the truck. It can improve your health. It can lower your weight, your blood pressure, and your blood sugar. If you're worth it. But you have to be worth it to you. You have to be as worth it to you as I realized I was worth it to me. And my husband was worth it to himself. And part of the reason that we knew that is because we were worth it to each other. So think about the people that love you and will miss you if you're gone. And also think about whether or not, if you don't do something about your health, you are prepared to hand them the burden of your care if you get worse. I wasn't prepared to do that for my husband, and he wasn't prepared to do it for me. So we have done keto for ourselves and for each other. Okay, I have taken up enough of your Friday, and I absolutely have got lots of things that I need to get done before my market tomorrow morning. So I hope you do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. I will see you 10 a.m. Sunday morning. We're going to do something at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning with vegetables. I don't know what I'm thinking, but it's going to be wonderful. I will see you Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Thank you for joining me. Talk to you.